to expand on, you know, how to get that kind of rest in peace kind of sound. I don't know. I know it's been done before. There's probably like a million videos out there that did this already. I think I might have done it before. So this is using the stock Jackson and then just the DSL-1. And then how to get that sort of pingy tone right there. So, I actually practiced before I started today. So, I think that we can actually get somewhere close. I don't know how well you can hear it, but I hear it really well because this is on the floor. So, when you hear it, it's not going to sound good. Then you're going to be like, what the fuck's he talking about? Right? You're going to be like, wait, it's not that. It doesn't sound all that great. But it actually sounds great. If I were to take this mic right here and put it right next to it, you could hear exactly what I'm hearing, but then you won't be able to hear me talk, which is more important than the guitar, I think. So, got a little bit of water right there. Wash my face. Right. So, remember, I mean, see, the thing here is that I'm going to start a band similar to this. I'm not sure yet, because, you know, this is more involved technically. I have a Sabbath band that I do here called Hill God, where I do everything. I'm actually a standalone singer. So, that's going to happen for sure. One song is already out there. And then I'm going to finish that EP up this month. And then I'm waiting for the JCM 800 pedal to come out. Then I might put something out like this. But this is kind of an experiment because this is more intricate. You know, I don't have double bass here, but I can kind of fake it, you know. So this is the thing that's probably never going to be played live, I think. And I'm never going to find another guitar player just like this that can play like that, you know. So that's the hard part. I've only met one person my entire life that plays like that. I used to be in a band with them in the Bay Area. We used to be just like Metallica. I went in there like Dave Mustaine or like a Kirk Hammett. And then I went in there, and this is all I did in the first solo. Something like this. And they're like, you're in. So very much like, you know, the Metallica thing. So, and, you know, we had like an agent, and then, you know, our album actually went up to like, you know, like a major label or something like that, and it just kind of fell apart, I think. That's when I realized the band is so volatile, not only in the personnel, but also like apathy. You know what I mean? You have to really like be driven to, you know, make things happen. So, I don't know. I'll talk about that someday. So anyway, we're not really going for that Megadeth sound. I'm just sort of using those riffs because, you know, it's kind of cool to play, right? I'm never going to be able to play it exactly. So I hate to tell you this. I know you've heard this before. This is the one thing that guitar players don't want to hear. Okay? And I hate to be the one to break this to you again, because you've heard this many times. So this type of playing, like Mustaine playing, right, is really in the hands. So it's really kind of the style of playing more than this and this. So it really, I mean, you can have Mustaine's exact gear and not sound anything like him. So it really starts with like how you play. But for the sake of going through it, we'll go through the equipment. So he actually plays through a Seymour Duncan, but like I said, I don't know why this looks like it's orange for some reason, but this is actually candy apple red. Jackson calls it Ferrari red. So maybe this camera is kind of, see, it looks orange. I actually love it. I would love it if this was orange. But anyway, this right here, Seymour Duncan pickups, it costs $100. You can put it in. I didn't put it in. But I'm going to show you the 3 things that I did to get this tone. So first of all, DSL-1. So all I've done here is I have the reverb at about 7. And then I have the bass turned up all the way to 10. And then I have the mids and treble at 5. So, okay, so 10, 5, 5. That's my setting. And then I have the gain to 10. All right, I have the gain to 10. And it's in the 1 watt mode, and all the buttons are pushed out. There's nothing, you know, pushed in, because when you push it in, there's like a different tonal characteristic. So everything's pushed out. And then the volume is about 1, because anything louder than that would be too much. I'm going through a 112, okay? And then that's the first thing, which is the EQ setting, which is what everybody wants. Second thing here is that I used a super overdrive pedal, but there's something important here. So what we want to do is we want to configure it to be like a booster pedal, right? So this is the age-old thing of metal versus like say like grunge or something like that, is that for metal, the distortion has to come from the amp. Even James Hetfield said that, right? The distortion has to come mostly from the amp. If it comes from the pedal, it's going to sound more, you know, like, you know, a 90s music, kind of grungy music. So I'm waiting to see what this, JCM 800 pedal will do, because then the distortion is coming from the pedal going into a clean channel. So we'll have to see. Maybe that's a game changer. Anyway, so we don't want too much distortion coming from the, or overdrive coming from the pedal, but we want it to act as a booster pedal. So I have it set in a configuration. What configuration is that? I can't show you because it's set up right here. Then I would have to take everything off. So what it is that in the Super Boss Super overdrive pedal, the tone knob doesn't really do much, I think. I've never been able to, you know, play with it to where it's actually beneficial. It just makes it tinny if you, you know, increase it too much. So I actually have that just below, you know, 9 o'clock, right? And then we have the volume setting, and then we have the gain setting, or the distortion, whatever they call it here, overdrive setting, right? So for this to act as a booster pedal, pay attention here, very important, you know, kind of a secret here. So for this to act as a booster pedal, turn down the overdrive, turn up the volume. So that way, this thing sort of caps it off. So I'll turn it off, and then I'll play it. So this is so that you configure it to be a booster pedal instead of an overdrive pedal. And I know it probably doesn't sound like much, but here, as I'm hearing it coming towards me, it sounds great. Unfortunately, the mic is right on top of this, so it's, you know, over that. So if I turn it on, it's going to sound like this. So you hear the difference, right? So the way you do that, so what I have is that, very important. So what I have is that I have the volume set at about 7, and then I have the overdrive set at about 3. So the volume was higher than the overdrive, thus pushing this into a booster pedal and not a overdrive pedal. So that sort of gives it that shimmer. Okay, so I've told you 2 things so far to get the sound. So I'll tell you the third thing in a little bit. So I guess we'll play some riffs here. So I don't know too many of these riffs, and since I'm going to start a band very similar to this, you know, here, to where I don't want to really learn a note per note. I probably made all kinds of mistakes, you know what I mean? So it's like I could write a song similar to this or in the vein of this. So for me to get into every single note of it, you know, will be like too much. Because then I don't want it to be like, you know, oh wait, this guy's like copying, you know, this style of music, right? Mustaine usually used to live, he used to actually live just a couple of miles from here, where I am. So that's kind of strange. I could have run into Dave Mustaine at the Home Depot before he moved to Tennessee, so I'm actually in North County. Alright, so we'll just play some more riffs. And you know, so Rust in Peace is like busy. right? It's very busy. So hopefully if this video doesn't turn out to be too long, I can actually put it into like iMovie and then increase the volume, and then so that you can actually hear the guitar. So I don't know. Let's see. I'm not sure if it's going to be loud enough for you to hear. Then I can increase the volume of that thing so that you can hear it more. So anyway, you know, a lot of busy picking, right? So you see how like I could write riffs like this, but I would never find a guitar player who could complement me. Now going back to that band in the Bay Area, that's the only band I think where I've actually played where I had a rhythm guitar player, and he had that shit down pat, man. Like he was as good as Hetfield. You know what I mean? He was like that on, you know, he was better than me. You know, and I was still learning, and I'm still sort of learning, you know what I mean? But he had it, you know, back then, so very hard. He's the only person I've met in my whole life, and I've played with hundreds of musicians. I'm actually a standalone singer, and so different people know me as different things, which is kind of weird. Some people know me as just a bass player, and that's it, in the Bay Area. Some people know me as lead guitar player in the Bay Area, right? Some people here, everybody here knows me as just a standalone singer. They used to call me the Indian Dio. I used to sing in a Dio cover band, you know, standalone, right? So, which I thought was kind of offensive. So, I see the humor in it, but racial humor always comes off offensive. So, no need to put the word Indian in there because that points it out, right? So, anyway, and you've seen some of the videos that I've jammed, you know, the recent jams, you know. And then Hill God is like an Ozzy Sabbath kind of band. Yeah, stoner rock, psych-let, you know, psych, doom, you know, that kind of stuff where we can go all kinds of places. And I love doing that. I love doing that. I love, you know, singing Dio and stuff. But then I also like this. I like Motorhead also. So we kind of, the way I work is that, you know how like today everything's like a bucket list, right? So that kind of mentality to where it's like, I'll just like binge on something and then I'll just burn out on it. And then it's like, I'll just, I know this sounds kind of weird, but I'm talking about playing, right? I'll like binge out on like, you know, Fast Eddie Clark Motorhead playing, and I'll just like play. And then I'll be like, and then I'll kind of emerge out of a stupor, and I'll be like, I got burnt out. I got to move to something else. Then I'll move to Sabbath. Then I'll do that. Then I'll move to Thrash. So I only have like a couple of these things. Then it's like singing, you know, standalone singing. So, and then I'm back to Thrash. So, not that I abandoned it or come back to it, but you know, it's just, I just kind of get into it, right? And then I get out of it, and then I go, oh wait, I got to do something else. So right now I'm juggling both Sabbath and this kind of music. So anyway, so that's the thing. So that's pretty much it. I've given you the tone. I've given you the setting for this to where we need it as a booster pedal to add that shimmer on there instead of, you know, too much overdrive, right? So that's why I have the gain on 10 on the Marshall, because you need this, and the mids provide that boost to where you can hear each tone, right? I won't try to play that solo. So anyway, you know, for a lot of bands, you know, finding that second guitar player is the hardest thing. Let me turn on this light, actually. Give me a second here. See if that helps a little bit. All right. So finding that, you know, second guitar player can be the hardest thing for a lot of people, especially this kind of music. You're never going to find somebody. I know you guys are out there on, you know, various, you know, maybe you're in the Midwest, or maybe you're in Washington, or maybe you're somewhere else, but see, it's of no use to me because you're not here, you know. So here I'm in San Diego, you know, I don't really know too many people that can play like this. Okay, I'm just checking the color to see if it's still the same. All right, so I think this is it. This sounds pretty close. So there may not be a need to put a Seymour Duncan in here, where Seymour Duncan kind of carries this kind of tone built in, and then maybe you can play around with it even more. I just don't want to go through the mess of putting it in here. Even though I'm an electrical engineer, like you'd think that I would be the the perfect one to put this in here and then wire it all up. But I took a look, I opened this up and checked it out. I could do it. Maybe I will one day. But it's just $100, and I don't know. Because if this is the baseline tone, that kind of pingy tone, right? I want to have the ability to get in and out of it. Because if you're stuck with that tone, then it's like, where would you go from there? You know what I mean? Where everything's sort of, what you want to make sure that it's kind of, tolerable, right? That it's not sort of like too dissonant, right? Or too kind of annoying, right? I think, what else do I know off that album? Not too much, I think. So I don't really know that song. Like I said, I don't want to learn a note per note because I'm writing music like this, and then I don't want it to be like, I don't want it to influence me too much, I guess. So, that one riff. And like I said, none of this stuff I'm going to play exact. So I'm just kind of going by feel, okay? Very busy. So anyway, the third thing, tell you the third thing. So the third thing here, very important. So this is probably what really makes a difference is the pickup height, okay? So the pickup height, you adjust this. Oh, I guess there's four things. Let me talk about the fourth and then come back to the third one. So the fourth thing here is when this came, I think I bought this new, I'm not really sure. This bridge right here, right? You want to basically screw this down to be as low action as possible. And for the longest time, this was kind of like this. For some reason. I don't know why it was set up like that, to where this was lower, this was actually higher. So it's kind of like this slanting down. And then I just never noticed it. So I went in there and I made it even. So because there's just a screw, right? So I made it even. The lower you make it, the easier it is to play, and then you just want to make sure that it's not going to buzz, right? So that will help a lot, so that you can just be like, yeah. So that's number 4. So number 3, here we go. So this is very important because you're using this pickup here, right? So the bridge pickup. So this pickup, if you adjust the height of this, what will happen is that the higher you go, right, the louder it'll be, and then the more it'll sort of overdrive the signal. So you don't want to overdo it. You don't want it to be too high, but if you keep it too low, it's kind of weird. So I had this right here. I don't want to do it because I just did it right before. I should have done it on camera. But anyway, you just do this, and then it's kind of like if you do it I believe if you do it counterclockwise, it pops up. So you have to sort of keep track of, you don't want one thing to be lopsided, I assume. Some people have this lopsided to where they want the lead strings to be more, to give it more of a punch, so it's kind of lopsided. I don't like things like that. I like things that are kind of even. So you can kind of keep track of how many times you do this, and then do that here, and then kind of, it won't be the same, so you got to kind of eyeball it. So, and then you kind of look at it, and then you go, you know, this distance and that distance is about equal. So what we're talking about here is you have the strings, and then you have this pickup. If the pickup is too far down, it'll give it a different sound. If it's too far up, it'll give it a different sound. So I sat there and I played with it, and that seemed to make all the difference. And you have this little kind of, this kind of crunch, which is very reminiscent of, you know, Rest in Peace, right? Especially when you palm it. Right? You know, all these crazy patterns that he has, and it's like that other one. Oh, this is a cool riff right here, but it's so hard to play. And that palming, you can hear it. You hear it? It sounds very similar to the, you know, album. So the point is that I was able to do that and get very close without putting a Seymour Duncan in there, right? Without doing a Seymour Duncan, I can get kind of in the ballpark, and that's all I want anyway. I don't want his sound exactly like we started off by saying. It's all in the playing. So it's more of the playing, but these things can help. Right? It's more of the playing. So, right? Sorry. Let me play it slow first. Alright. See, that's all palmated. Alright, so anyway, to me, that's kind of close enough, you know, and maybe one day I'll put in a Seymour Duncan here. So 4 things we discussed, right? First thing is the amp, and I gave you the settings. I told you the settings were basically bass, middle, treble, which is 10-5-5, okay? 10 on the bass, 5 on the mids, and then 5 on the treble. And then I said I actually turned the gain all the way to 10. Right? Because this is a kind of a mid-boost sound, right? This is kind of a mid-boost sound. We're trying to match that Seymour Duncan. So the Seymour Duncan has a pingy MIDI sound, right? You know, mid-boosted sound. So that's why, you know, this is kind of like counterintuitive to basically scooping the mids. So we kind of actually raise the mids just a little bit, right? And then I told you number 2 was that super overdrive pedal, we want that pedal to act as a booster pedal, not too much overdrive. So I showed you the settings where I said I have the volume set at 7 and the overdrive set at only 3 or less, so that you're kind of boosting the pedal with volume, right? You're kind of, it's like adding a top layer of a sandwich, right? And then the tone is just at 3 or below, right? And then I said over here, you should adjust this height right here so that it's very low as it can go before it starts buzzing. So this is pretty low. I have it, I don't know, you can't see it here, but it's about maybe about 3 threads up. You know, I don't know how many millimeters that is, but it's about 3 threads up. But you want this to match this, so that, you know, unless you like it lopsided like that. And then the same thing, the last thing we talked about was the pickup height. The higher it goes, the hotter the output, the more sort of it will help overdrive the sound, but then it'll also make it too mushy, right? So you don't want it too close. You don't want it too close to pickups, but then if it's too far down, you're not going to get enough of it. So you've got to play around with, so all of this depends on how you play. Like I said, it goes back to how you play, right? So it's all basically in the hands, right? So it's how you play. So you have to adjust the pickup height based on how you play. And then what will happen is that it's that. So I guess we could play some other riffs. So that's not really, you know, from Rest in Peace, but then I guess that's how it would sound if you play it in this pickup, right? So anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. So I gave you 4 distinct tips, but a lot of it, like I said, it starts with the way you play, the way you palm mute, right? So that kind of playing. So I hope this helps. I know there's many videos on this already, but I feel like it's pretty close, right? I'm just gonna make up the solo. All right, sorry.